Welcome to another episode of Fireside. I'm your host, K.A. If this is your first time with the Fireside series, what we do on the Fireside series is we pick a topic from motherland Africa. We pick a country, pick a topic, and then try and dissect that topic. We try to understand what's going on, ask some critical questions about the topic, and try to form some kind of understanding and some form of opinion around the topic. On today's episode of Fireside series, we are in Ghana. And the topic that we're going to be tackling today is the elections that occurred on the 7th of December 2020. According to election results, the incumbent president, Nana Akufo-Addo, won the election with 51% of the votes versus 47% by the opposition, John Dramani Mahama. The election was called on December the 9th and the winner was declared. However, the opposition, John Dramani Mahama, has filed a petition with the Supreme Court on the grounds that the election results were unfounded. The grounds for his petition was based on the fact that he believes that if all the votes were counted, the incumbent president, Nana Akufo-Addo, would not have achieved the more than 50% votes that he required in order to win the election. We've got to ask ourselves, was the election fair? Were all the votes counted before the announcement of the winner was declared? And that's what we're going to try and find out today by looking at an article published by the Ghana Web on 10th of January 2021, where they go into a little bit of detail around the petition that was filed and the response by the incumbent president. So looking at this article published on the Ghana Web on Sunday the 10th of January 2021, Akufo-Addo responds to Mahama's election petition, says Supreme Court should dismiss it. President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo says that the declaration of president-elect instrument is a proper method at law for declaring a winner of the presidential election and not the initial announcement by the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, which has no basis in law. As far as the law is concerned, only the official declaration of the president-elect is what determines who has won the election and not the announcement by the chairperson of the Electoral Commission on which the basis of the petition is founded. So carrying on with the article, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the second respondent in the 2020 presidential election, says therefore that the Supreme Court should dismiss the petition brought before it by Mahama because it was not based on Article 64(1) of the Constitution, which makes the validity of an election the basis of a presidential election petition. So let's go and have a look at what the Constitution says in Article 64(1). According to the Ghana Constitution, Article 64(1), challenging election of president. The validity of the election of the president may be challenged only by a citizen of Ghana who may represent a petition for the purpose to the Supreme Court within 21 days after the declaration of the result of the election in respect of which the petition is presented. Going back to the article, John Dramani Mahama, meanwhile, argues that the declaration of president-elect instrument was based on the public declaration by Jean Mensa on 9th December 2020. So essentially, we have a conflict of understanding here about what the law actually says, whether the law is based on the official declaration of the president-elect or whether the law is based on the announcement by the chairperson of the Electoral Commission as to who the winner of the election is. So let's carry on. Let's read a bit more and try and see if we can get to the bottom of this. Akufo-Addo acknowledges that, but says that those errors notwithstanding, the validity of the election itself has not been challenged by the petitioner. He intends to use the 2013 Supreme Court presidential election involving himself and John Dramani Mahama as his reference points. In a 12-page response by Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, with his own law firm advising him, the president argues that the petition does not disclose any attack on the validity of the elections held in the 38,622 polling stations and 311 special voting centers, and therefore the petition is born out of unfounded imagination. Akufo-Addo added that the allegation by the petitioner of vote padding, which involves some 6,622 votes, is empty and does not materially affect the outcome of the 2020 general election. Akufo-Addo's response partly reads, second respondent says that the election was conducted across 38,622 polling stations in Ghana and 311 special voting centers, and that in each polling station and special voting center, the votes were counted and the results declared in the presence of representatives of the candidates, counting agents, voters, the general public, and in most instances, the media and local and international observers. It continued, upon the declaration of results, copies are posted at the various polling stations in accordance with the law governing the elections. Second respondent states that the petition, the second respondent here is the incumbent president, Nana Akufo-Addo. Second respondent states that the petition does not disclose any attack on the validity of the election held throughout the 38,622 polling stations and 311 special voting centers, or any of the processes set out in paragraphs 3 and 4, supra. So essentially, the incumbent president is stating that the petition is unfounded simply because it is not based on the validity of the election, but simply based on the number of votes that had been counted by the time the winner had been declared. So what do you think? Do you think that the announcement of the winner had any basis in determining who the winner of the election was? Because if the winner of the election was announced based on incomplete data, then it stands to reason that perhaps the declaration of the winner of the election was unfounded and therefore not valid. However, once the votes had been completely counted, at that point it was determined that Nana Akufo-Addo had achieved 51% of the votes versus the 47% achieved by John Dramani Mahama. So in theory, at that point, the president-elect had been announced based on the full set of counted votes, therefore ensuring the validity of Nana Akufo-Addo's claim to a re-election. Going back to the article, Akufo-Addo further indicated that Mahama in his petition stated that if all votes from Techiman South constituency are added to his votes, the MPP's Akufo-Addo will get less than 50% of the total valid votes cast, noting that the results from Techiman South were known to John Dramani Mahama at the time of filing his petition. If the total valid votes cast are credited to each candidate correctly, Akufo-Addo avers that he would duly obtain more than 50% of the votes cast. Akufo-Addo therefore prayed the Supreme Court to determine that the petition is incompetent, frivolous, and vexatious, and discloses no reasonable cause of action in terms of Article 64(1) of the Constitution, and set the issue down for legal arguments. Now this is an important point here. Mahama avers that if that declaration, which was based on wrong results and the wrong calculation of the then outstanding Techiman South results were considered, then there was no winner, thereby necessitating a rerun. So it appears that the basis for the petition by John Dramani Mahama is founded on the fact that at the time that the winner was declared, the full set of votes hadn't been counted. So if the full set of votes had been counted at that time, it would have been revealed that the incumbent president, Nana Akufo-Addo, would not have achieved more than the 50% vote share that he needed in order to win the election. Akufo-Addo had indicated that the evidence of vote padding produced by the petition amounts to just 6,622 votes, which are insignificant since he was validly elected based on Article 64(1) by a margin of 500,000 votes. He stated that more than 38,000 polling stations results witnessed by the general public and international observers attest to his win. He, however, entered into quicksand in paragraph 35 when he stated that the results were corroborated by all media houses of note in the country, as well as many local and international observers. And here's another important point. The EU observer mission has, however, stated that the collation of results was less transparent. So here you have an international observer who says that the collation of the results was not very transparent. So it's likely that there could have been some amount of vote padding whether it was at one polling station or multiple polling stations. Vote padding which could have resulted in skewing the results of the elections, thus declaring the incumbent president, Nana Akufo-Addo, the winner. But that is obviously not founded, because there is no evidence to suggest that there was enough vote padding or any vote padding. But it does kind of make you think, because obviously if this international observer says there was not a lot of transparency around the collation of results, then it stands to reason that it's possible that the elections were not as fair and free as we'd like to think. Finishing up the article, John Mahama, the immediate past head of state, has filed an amendment to his petition which is correct the error of referring to Akufo-Addo as first respondent instead of the second respondent, an error Akufo-Addo repeated throughout his response. All is set for legal arguments beginning the 14th of January. Judgment should be delivered by 10th of February according to the rules governing the case. Looking at the information from that article, it stands to reason that there was something going on during that election. But I guess we'll really never know what the actual situation was like on the ground. Was there vote padding? Was the election free and fair? Was there any malfeasance in the counting of the votes? Were there any parties hired by the incumbent president to ensure his victory? Did he actually win the election? Should there have been a rerun of the election? I guess one critical question we have to ask ourselves is bipartisan democracy the right answer for Ghana? Because it appears that all it seems to be doing is fostering this sense of rivalry between political parties. So instead of the focus being on what is the best thing for Ghana, what is the best thing for the long-term growth and prosperity of the country, there's a lot of focus on who's the winner and who's the loser, and it becomes us versus them. Where you have political candidates who are very heavily vested in ensuring that they stay in power by engaging in what may be considered not very transparent election process, then you've got a problem. And it doesn't instill a lot of confidence in the electoral process, in the political environment in the country. But what happens now? Ultimately, the winner has been declared, and the incumbent president, Nana Akufo-Addo, has been sworn in for a second term. But is this going to be the end of the story? Who knows? Is John Mahama going to carry this thing on further? If come the 10th of February, his petition is dismissed, thus rendering it invalid, and thus confirming that Akufo-Addo is the current president and going to be the president for the next 4 years, is he going to let that go? Is that where it's going to end? I guess nobody really knows. So all we can really do is wait and see what the outcome of the Supreme Court judgment is. What do you guys think? What do you think is going to be the outcome? Drop your comments down below and then let's discuss. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Fireside. If you did enjoy this episode of Fireside, please like and subscribe to the channel. It will help us a lot. It will go a long way, and we'll catch you in the next one.